Welcome to Promote Profit Published. I'm your host, Juliette Clark, and today we are going to be doing one of our trainings. So if you're someone who is a visual learner, I encourage you to go over to YouTube and watch this or listen to it however you want. I feel really grateful today that we have Gretchen as our guest. She got an evacuation notice last night from Los Angeles, and I just want to let you all know we had a lot of people that pinged me this morning. I think they're in Los Angeles. They said they don't have power. So we will be sending out a replay. We usually don't of these, but today we will actually be doing that for you guys. So, and if Gretchen has to do it again, she has graciously volunteered to do it again as well. So for those of you who don't know Gretchen, she is a master certified coach and an ICF LA board member. And she's one of LA's top coaches and a mentor known for helping coaches build thriving businesses. Her ICF-approved Stairway to Six program combines business strategy with personal growth. She's been featured in Fast Company and the New York Times, and she doesn't even mention in this bio that she has 2 fabulous books that I'll let her tell you about as well. Gosh, I'm so excited. People are showing up. I'm so worried. So, Gretchen, I'll let you go ahead and take it and go for it before your electricity goes out.
Yeah. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Gretchen Heido. It's so nice to see all of you. Oh, and hello, Andy. There's a friendly face there. Nice to see everybody. Happy New Year. Here we are this first week of January. And what I'm going to talk about today is client enrollment and the importance of telling stories when you are doing your client enrollment, and how storytelling is a connector and something that can serve a client rather than doing a hard sell to a client. So like Juliet said, I'm in Los Angeles. We have been very affected by the fires. Luckily, our home still stands. But when I am thinking about what I want to bring to you today, I really want to help you with being able to position yourselves in ways that are going to help you with your business. So one thing that I know happens for all of us is that coaches are always looking for, where am I going to get my next client? What am I supposed to say to this particular client? What's the best way to engage with this potential client? And what I can tell you is that before I was a coach, I was a publicist. And one of the things that I learned in the PR world was that stories connect. And here's what happens when you tell a good story. Stories create possibility. A lot of times people still resonate with when they were a little kid and their parents would read to them. So there's some nice feelings when it comes to storytelling. Stories are a way to help your brain relax. So when you're trying to quote unquote sell to somebody, the mind is getting worried. It starts thinking about money. It's thinking about the details. It's thinking about what maybe they're not going to get. It's trying to be very logical, where stories stay in the creative space. And so the way that we're going to come at this today is I'm going to drop you in to a connection call. And what do I mean by that? Connection call for me is the first time that you are connecting with the potential client. It's when you're finding out their vision, what's important to them. It's where you're talking about where they want to be in life. It's where you're really anticipating and finding out what the gap is between where they are and where they want to go. And inevitably, if you have received enough information and there's enough engagement and chemistry between the two of you, when you turn it over for questions to that potential client, they're always going to ask something like, how much does this cost? Will this work for me? Has this worked for your other clients? And so I'm going to show you, pieces of that, of what can you say to really help a potential client relax. So one of the things that I want you to think about right now is a story that you have with a client that it worked out really well. It's someone that you've worked with in the past, and there's that beginning, middle, and end point. They came to you and they were in this state. By the time they left, these things had happened. So everyone, get a client story in your head, and we're going to talk about it. I want to help you with what can you do to be able to create a good story. Here's the beginning, middle, and end point of stories. We think of it as the hero's journey. Client came to you. They had some kind of a problem or they wanted something. There's a transition point. That's the middle. Then how did they leave at the end? Some of the prompts that can help you to really think deeper are things like, what was it like? What was that problem? What happened? It's maybe a decision that they made or an action that they took. And then what's it like now? So if a client says something to me like, hey, I want to coach with you, maybe they come to me and they're in the middle of a career transition and they're not sure what they should do next in their career. And they ask me, will coaching work? I tell this story. I don't know if it will work for you, but I have a client who he came to me and he was someone who was working for USC. He had 3 daughters all back to back. And with the position that he was in at USC, his daughters would receive basically the equivalent to the same price of tuition that they would from an institution like USC. It was just one of his benefits for any school that they decided to go to, as long as they were accepted. So his wife was not very interested in his dreams or desires because she was seeing basically the $1 million price tag that it was going to cost to put these 3 young women through college. He really wanted to leave. He was no longer happy at USC. He'd been there for over 20 years and he was done. He was really done. But again, his wife was like, oh, no, you're not. You have to stay there until our youngest graduates. So he was going to be in it for at least 10 more years. And that felt like a death sentence to him. So that's part 1. That's the what did he come to me like? Part 2, what's the transition? We worked together for about 6 months. And what we did is we took it off the table that he would leave USC. We just took it off the table because his wife was like, I will divorce you if you leave. You must stay. So we took that off the table. But what we got to do was see what was available to him in areas that he was excited about. He was someone who liked to speak. He was someone that liked to write. These were not things that he was doing in his current position. During our time together, he came up with a book. He wrote a book. It ended up becoming a New York Times bestseller. It had every single thing to do with his specialty. I won't say what it is because for anonymity, but it had everything to do with his specialty. He ended up staying at USC on their payroll, but now he is not in the office. He travels around the world speaking about this particular topic. He does book signings, and all 3 kids got to go to college. So that's the way you tell a good story. So if a client says, will it work for me? I never say, well, yes, of course, coaching will work for you. Coaching works. Coaching does work, but it doesn't help when you say something like that. That does not help a potential client relax their mind. But hearing a story, they can feel the possibility. So let's unmute. I'd love to get a little bit of feedback. What did you hear in that for yourselves? What did you hear there? Go ahead, Sandy.
I heard that there's positivity out of problems.
Positivity out of problems. Good. Someone else, what did you hear?
I got that instead of thinking of all or nothing, you think outside the box and pivot. Like, how can I pivot this into something that's working for me and makes you feel happier?
Yeah. How can I pivot this into something that's working for me? What do you think it does for the potential client to hear something like that rather than, oh, we'd work together for 12 sessions. It's going to cost you $5,000. And by the end of it, I hope you have a roadmap for your career, for your book, for your whatever it is.
Yeah, it's the emotional connection. It's relating to something and saying it's possible for me through somebody else's, epic journey. Because that seems pretty amazing and epic for a story, right?
Pretty amazing and epic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's say this too. What if the person's like, well, does that happen with all of your clients? Of course not, right? Not everybody becomes a New York Times bestseller, but have another story ready. And the thing that you want to do too is you want to think about the type of clients that you get. So I get a lot of coaches who come to me striving to earn an income. I get a lot of entrepreneurs. I get a lot of women who come to me. And I get people in transition, but I have stories, success stories in all of the different buckets, depending. So let's say that story felt too big, too pie in the sky. What's another story that you have that you can serve up? And so the way that you want to say this as well, when they say, will it work for me? You can say, I never know if it will, but I was just working with a client who, And that's where you give another story. So again, I'd say, well, that was just one story. If they're like, wow, that was big. What's something more normal? I'd say, well, I was just working with a client who she had been in tech for years and years, and she was really sick of doing the data part of it. And she came to me and we were trying to explore what else could she do. She was 50. She knew she still had about 15 years left, maybe 17, that she was going to have to work in her career. She could not retire yet, but she just didn't want to do this anymore. What we found is that because she was so good at getting information, finding things out, distilling messages, that one of the things that was really interesting to her that she didn't know before was being a private investigator. And so what I'm doing with all of my clients is I'm listening for the components and the possibilities of these are all the things that you are. These are the ingredients. And because of those ingredients, this is what you could do with that. And you know what? She ended up becoming a private investigator. And so for all of you, you're having some feelings about this, like, wow, I hope, about what it is that happened for these clients. So it's the same thing that will happen with your own potential client. So here's what we're going to do, because anytime I teach, it's not just for you to sit here and nod your head and think that it's great. You're going to go do it. Then we're going to come back and then I'm going to teach you another way to engage with clients. So this is what you're going to do. You have these prompts here. I want you to think of a beginning, middle, and end. The client came to me like this. In the middle, we did this. And by the end, it was this. It's not going to sound beautiful yet because this might be the first time that you've done it. But I want you to tell your buddy, your peer, your client success story. So you're going to have just 10 minutes. So 5-minute rounds. When you tell your success story, then let the other person tell their success story. Then you go back and you talk about ways to make it even better, make it more compelling. But we're looking for what's the problem, what happened, and what is it like now? Then you're going to come back and we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to show you then, how does that lead to money? How does that lead to possibility? So, Juliet, you can go ahead and open up those breakout rooms. Welcome back, group. I'd love to hear, how did it go for you when you were telling your client story? What did you learn there?
I'm chewing my bagel, but I want to say that I learned very much that it's when you get really curious and in love with someone's story and the emotional connection, you want to buy it. You want to get into it deeper. Yeah, it's really not about numbers as much as it is about the heart. It's
right.
really about the heart. And Alita told me a story. I'm like, sold. I'm like, done. Like it's really the emotional connection, always at the core of everything. And then of course you respect yourself with the dollar, right? Because it has to come together. Because the dollar is where the creativity lays, in creating the creativity. So it's beautiful, but start with the story.
Mm-hmm. Good. Thank you, Sam. Who else? How was this for you? Did anyone get stuck?
I didn't get stuck, but I had a big light bulb moment.
Oh, share it.
And my story was very small. I'm an energy coach, so I help people get rid of their bad juju. I do very spiritual work. And so my clients are short and sweet. And I had a very short and sweet client yesterday. And when I was telling the story about it, I realized that there are times when clients contact me and they are all about, I've heard about you. I would like you to work for me, but what do you charge? When do you do it? And I answer those questions. And that's so wrong, because a lot of times, and it's not often, it's like once every 3-4 months, maybe 6 months, but it's like, I shouldn't answer those questions. Mm. I should ask, what in the heck's going on? Right. So get the personal side of what's going on, and then address, this is how I can help that, or the example, and then finally get to what it costs. So it was great.
Good. So thank you, everyone, for trying that exercise. I want to make sure that I have enough time to tell you the rest of the reason that this is important. So everybody has a different way that they do client creation. But one of the things that I teach is that I have a 6-stage framework. And the first part of that framework is the connection. The connection call is actually the first time that you talk to a potential client. So like you were saying, Alita, they call, how much do you cost? Blah, blah, blah. If you start with answering, I cost this much, you've already lost them. So the very first step in your connection call is to make sure that you have some pre-questions that you are going to send to a potential client before you will even talk to them. And what do I mean by that? There has to be a level of readiness. So I have 3 questions that I send out when someone wants to get a hold of me and get on my calendar. And the questions are usually something like, what do you want to accomplish in the next 6 months? What have you tried and what's been hard? If they do not answer those questions, they don't get on my calendar because there's no level of readiness. When people just want to know price, we do not know about their vision. And Carrie, I see your question. Yes, I'll make sure I get to that. So as you're doing this, make sure that you have a framework. So step 1, you connect with the client, you send out that email. Then on the connection call, I want you to slow it way down. This is not where you are selling them. You are deciding, is this person a good fit for you? You want to find out their vision. You want to find out what it is that they need. You want to find out, is it someone who's really serious about doing the work? Even though we might be able to close a client, if it is not the right time in their life, it doesn't matter, and you will just be pulling them through the keyhole and you will end up resentful. Juliet, I know, has had that experience. So have I. So when a potential client starts asking questions like, what do you charge? How many sessions is it? I want you to slow them down and say, I'm glad that we're here. What I'm hearing is, and you need to be able to give back their vision. What I'm hearing is you'd really like to be able to build a coaching business where you are not worried about where you're going to get your next client. You're really good at the coaching part, but the business development has been hard. And if you did that, it would change things for you because you wouldn't be pedaling your feet as much and you'd be able to spend time on the projects that you really like, whatever it is that they've told you. If you cannot give them back their vision and what it would mean to them to accomplish it, you haven't gone deep enough with them yet on the connection piece. So that first part of the call is really about spending the time getting to know them and exposing what do they want and why don't they already have it. The why don't they already have it is where the problem is. This is where you might know what kind of a story that you can tell. So when they say, what you charge, blah, 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 slow them down. I'm glad that you asked. Here's what I'm hearing that you want, but I have some requirements. You need to have requirements for your clients. Now, I know it sounds like, why would I have requirements? I just want their money. If you do not have requirements for your clients, you're going to get terrible clients and they're going to own you instead of you being a professional. So here's the requirements I have for my clients. You can use them, you can change them, but do have some. The first one I say is, I'm glad that you're asking, but I have some requirements. The first is that you're ready. I don't know what else you have going on in your life right now. Is this the right time for coaching? Because if you coach with me, your life is going to change. There are going to be things that you have to do, mindsets that you're going to change to be able to get and then bring back their vision. Most of the time they say they're ready, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes there's a loved one who is sick. Sometimes it's just not the right time, but it doesn't mean that they will never be a client. And what we're doing is we are making sure that our coaching is truly going to be helpful now. Otherwise, people want their money back. They want to stop coaching. They don't show up. And you're like, what in the heck am I supposed to do? Second requirement is that they're committed. This is a financial commitment, and it is also a commitment to self. Are they committed to doing what it takes to be able to get that vision? So ready and committed. The third is that I am going to coach with every single person before I take them on as a client because I want them to experience coaching with me. For all of you, you do different coaching, but I would have something that they can actually experience you before you bring them on. And I tell them, and let's coach. Today, we were just getting to know each other. We were seeing, is coaching a modality that would fit for you? But I want to make sure that we both feel like this could move forward and that we are a good fit and that what you really are looking for is coaching. People come to you, they think coaching is consulting. They think coaching is therapy. They think you're going to just tell them what to do. They think all sorts of things, and it's not usually what it is. So for me, that's a requirement. I don't have them pay me anything for that. So I know a lot of you are probably thinking, why wouldn't you get paid? You gave them, hold on one second, Sandy. You gave them a half an hour and you gave them an hour. But the reason for this is so that they are really ready, they see the importance, and so that you can make sure they are the right client.
I wanted to say, I wanted to acknowledge what you said because it's really reaffirming. For me, it's always worked in giving somebody one service for free so that they have the experience, the taste of it. And then it's no pressure. They get to, so I love what you said because sometimes, people are afraid of free, but it's not. It's an exchange of time. And also to feel, do I want to be here once a week, twice a week with this person?
That's right.
And it's lovely. It's lovely that you said that. It's about the experience. And it's always kind of worked for me, just like people are amazed. Oh, you have an hour of your free time? Yeah. Currency is the most important thing you have. I'm exchanging it because I see the macro long-term vision of where this can go. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Juliet, I see you. And one thing that I will say is that what it does is it slows you down and it slows them down so that later there's no bait and switch. They can't say, I didn't know. Yes, you did. We did it. And it slows you down. Do you like them? Just because someone will pay you money, do you like them? Do you like them? Are you excited to work with this client? If you're not, and you're only excited about paying your mortgage, they are not the right client for you. Keep going. There's someone else. Juliet, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, listen to how powerful this sounds, because I would say about 80% of the coaches I speak to feel really disempowered in this area. They're anxious. Is this person going to hire me? And it's not all about, do they want you? Do you want them? And listening to some of their responses, because for me, if I hear someone that question about, what else have you done before? When I go through that, if I hear they blame it on outside things, I probably don't want them. They're not going to be someone who's going to be accountable to the process.
That's right. And here's a tip. I want you to show up in your practice as a professional, not in your social self. Professional self behaves like a dentist or a lawyer. You go to the dentist, you have a cracked tooth or whatever's wrong with you, and the dentist says it's going to be $5,000. And you go, oh my gosh, that's so much money. The dentist doesn't say, oh, well, let me give you a discount and let me help you. What they say is, oh, well, here's care.com. You can go there and get a payment plan figured out. They don't get your tooth fixed or don't. It's really not my problem. And I don't mean this in an unloving way. Same thing with a lawyer. You need something, they've got your answer. They're not discounting it just so that you feel okay about your money story. What happens with coaches is your own money story and story of lack and story of value shows up when you say the price. So let's say that your package is $1,000 and you are already sure that this person would not pay $1,000. You might find yourself saying, it's $1,000, but I'll give you half off. Why? We don't even know who this person is. When a person says to you, that's a lot of money, it's not for you to fix, because here's the deal. We buy things all the time if we think that they're going to solve the problem of our vision. Every time. Think of timeshares that people buy. It's this vision of families being together and great opportunities. Most people don't have money for that. They buy it. They don't use it, but they did buy it. Boats that you're going to take on the water and you're going to have these experiences, and they're in people's driveway. People find money for their vision. And so here's what I want you to hear about that. If you have not spent enough time on the vision, then no amount of money, however big or small, that you propose is going to be the right amount. The other thing is that money prepares people. It is an indicator of readiness. So if someone says that's a lot of money, great, you're glad. I never argue. I say it is. And I wouldn't want you to do it unless you were 100% sure it was going to work for you. Let's coach. And that's why I give that session. Let's coach. That way you can see what coaching is about. If I've just told them the story and I've just told them it's 6 sessions and I've just told them whatever I've told them, there's no experience in that. So they're on guard. When they've had the experience, when they've heard that other people have had this work, it changes things. So you want to slow this way down. You want to think about this as the way that you advertise. For me, I don't do a lot on Facebook. I don't do a lot on ads. What I do is I have a lot of client conversations. Connection call, coaching call. Then you propose. My highest recommendation is Based on your vision and everything that you're saying that you want, my highest recommendation is we work together for this long. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on that vision. We're going to create a strategy session by session that's going to support it. We're going to see what your blocks are. And we're going to see where you're saying you want to spend your time. We're going to do an energy audit. You say you want this, but what are you really doing? So you're exposing them the whole way through. We are not here to be our clients' friends, ever. That is not what this business is. If you become your client's friend, you are muddying the waters. Now, it doesn't mean you won't be friendly, but you want to make sure that this is a professional service. If I become friends with my coaching clients, what happens is that mirror that I'm willing to hold up, those provocative questions that I'm willing to ask, the places that I'm willing to say, hey, there's a blind spot here. I might not do it anymore because I've dropped into social self. So staying in your professional self versus your social self is going to help you every single time. We are not here to be liked. We're here to do a service. And along the way, they are going to like you. That's completely fine, but that should not be your number one. You are here to serve and to serve powerfully. So where does this come back to the art of storytelling? Is that when I am telling the story of what it was like for a client, what happened and what it's like now, I'm basing that on the power of what happened. But if I would have gotten in there, I had a client, we worked together for a year, and at one point her husband cheated on her. I was so mad at that husband. I was like, what? And I felt very protective of this client. If I would have told the client, where does he live? I want to key his car. Not that I would do that. But if you did read my book, I might, but I wouldn't tell the client that because then we'd be in friendship mode. I instead served her from a high level of, okay, well, with that information, what do you want to do? Where are you at today? What do you need? So anytime we drop into client story, even the person from USC, like your wife won't let you quit. I had a lot of ideas and opinions, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't serve the client. We have to stay in our professional self. That way, when you give your highest recommendation and you say, my highest recommendation is 6 months and the tuition is $10,000, you're not wrapped up in, oh, but they need a roof and, oh, but this and, oh, but their son needs rehab and, oh, whatever, because there's all the things that you're going to hear. You're a professional. This is something that they want. How much is their vision worth? And here's what I'll tell you. With sales, everybody wants to be sold to in a high level way. Nobody wants the kind of sale where it's like, well, if you do it today, I'll give you $2,000 off. Like, if you can give me $2,000 off today, you can do it tomorrow. You own the business. What kind of BS is this? That always makes people mad. But think about when, I'll just use this experience. And Andy, think of this if you were getting a suit. Women, you're going to Nordstrom's. You have a very important business event to go to, or a wedding or a reunion. You haven't seen these people in years. You want to look good. You need an undergarment to hold it all in. You go for the undergarment, but the salesperson is like, oh, it's a reunion. Oh, it's a business event. And she brings you 3 dresses. This one complements your eyes. This one complements your waist. And this one, you just look like $1 million in. Then she brings you some jewelry. Then she brings you the shoes. You leave with all of it because she served you. You only wanted to spend $100. You left spending $5. That kind of thing, because it felt like service. And so when you're serving people, never be afraid of your number. People will pay for their vision, but you have to slow down enough to really know what that vision is. And that's where stories help to connect that. So I'm going to pause there. I just said a whole lot to you, but this is what I teach. This is how I help coaches. I help them figure out, where do I find clients? What do I say to clients? How do I connect with clients? What's the framework? We go from the connection call to the coaching call, to proposing and making your highest recommendation, to closing the loop, not doing the just following up to see how you are. No, you're not. You're following up to see if you're going to get their money. Be honest. Closing the loop, taking it off the table, or getting started. So that's what you do in a coaching contract, and it all starts with that story. Okay, so I'm going to pause because I have to be done in 3 minutes. Do I have time to let them ask questions?
Oh yeah, that's what we're going to do. Can I make a comment? So a lot of you guys that are on, you work spiritually or health and wellness. I hear a lot about people come to you and they don't make a commitment. They want to quit fix. This is going to take away the person, separate who wants a quick fix, a fix me, versus who's committed to healing. And that's really what you're looking for, is those people that are committed to healing, not the people who just come in and say, Alita, you're an energy healer, fix me now. So, and that's what you want, those people that are committed to that long-term relationship.
Well, and the other thing too is long-term relationship, yes, but committed to themselves, committed to the change. Coaching's always a partnership. So even though we're hired because they want something else, energy healing, losing weight, whatever it might be, they have to do their part. And that's why I have the requirements of ready and committed. Are you committed to do what you need to do on your end? Because I can give someone all the things and say all the right things. If they're not committed or ready, sometimes the plate really is too full. It's not a good time for them to start because they're not going to be able to fully commit. It doesn't mean that they won't be your client later. So we can't come from a scarcity mindset.
You guys, let's open it up for questions. Any of you have questions for Gretchen?
And let me see. Okay, so Carrie had this question. If you have time, can you mention your experience of storytelling of your own hero's journey? I imagine it's okay to touch on it, but not okay to talk about yourself too much. I don't really talk about myself with my potential clients. If they want to ask me questions like, how did you start? How did you get into the business? I will talk about that. But your own personal story, it's not relevant when it comes to this. You want to talk about them and their vision. If you tell too much about yourself, you're getting into friend category. It's becoming too familiar. So you do want to be a professional. You know, your dentist isn't going to tell you all about their problems. It's not appropriate. It's just not. I will tell you this. I had to have a procedure done for my ear. While the person was doing it, I was awake and he was sticking things up my nose to like numb it. And he's telling me all these things about how his daughter came home as a son. And what is he supposed to do now that he has a son? And he has stuff going up my nose. And I'm thinking, why are you telling me this? I really don't need to know this. It didn't make me like him more. It didn't make me connect with him more. If anything, I wanted to get away from him, you know, and not because of the story, but I'm like, dude, pay attention. Like, you got some instrument up my nose. What are you doing right now? So we think that we are going to connect with people with our own stories. And yes, there can be an element of that, but you want to stand as the professional instead of the friend. That's the most important. Thank you, Carrie. I see your little thumbs up there. Who else? What questions do you have?
I am just wondering.
Hi, Dorothy.
Hi. I was just wondering if the story pertains to what the person is going through with a problem. If it's okay to relate a story that you have had that would relate to them.
Well, I mean, it's better to do it that it's your client, that you had a client that you were working with your own story. I mean, let's say that you're going to tell something really personal about yourself. I don't know that that matters much because that's just how you got through it. As the coach, that's not what we're doing. You know, as the coach, we want to keep a neutral space. If someone knows that I've been through this, this, and this, they're already going to view you different. You always want to say, well, you know, I don't know if coaching will work for you, but I was just working with a client who had some similar circumstances. They came to me like this is what happened, and this is what they're like now.
Mine is kind of unique because it's book coaching and helping them bring their vision to life and then out to the world, you know, and they always ask me, how long will it take? And I never know how to answer that question. So what I usually say is, and guide me if I'm doing this wrong, but I say, I can't really answer that question because it really depends on you. It depends on, you know, we're a partnership. Things go back and forth. And so if you're dedicated and you work hard and you work with me, and then it's going to go much faster. And then I usually tell them my fastest client was 2 months from raw idea to finished product. And that was because Juliet needed the book by a certain date. And it was, you know, so he was extremely motivated. But is that appropriate?
Okay, so here's what I would say for that. And it's not that it's wrong, but you might want to firm up the way you do it. Because what I hear in that is that you're letting the client do the leading. Oh, it depends how long it's going to take. If you were to tell me, this is I don't know, let's say it's a $20,000 book program. And the way that it works is each week you send me a chapter. It's due by Saturday. And regardless of if they've done it or not, that's when it's due. That's when it's due. Then they know they're going to have it done in this amount of time. Maybe they would get it done faster and they can ask you about that. Can we do it faster? But it's like, and in that amount of time, I'm going to read it. I'll do an edit. We'll have a phone call about it. We'll go over what worked. And then the next week, your next chapter's due. What it does then, because what will happen is they're going to say things like, well, there was the fires. Well, there was this. There's always some reason that they're not doing it, because when someone's asking you how long will it take, what they're saying is, I need a framework to get it done. If I could get it done by myself, it would already be done.
That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you.
Who else? What are you wondering?
So I just wanted to ask another question. Like, so if I have a story about myself, can I just rewrite it to be from a client and pretend that it was a client?
I'm sure that you can, but something that I really wonder, Dorothy, is with your clients, I bet you do have enough in there that you really can pull on client experience. You know, I bet that you do. Just to what kind of a coach are you, Dorothy?
Well, I'm just in the process of being a coach.
Oh, okay. So one of the things that you're going to learn is that it's not ever about us. It's always about them. So with coaching, we're not relating. We're keeping a frame so that the client has the space to do what they want to do. If you want to rewrite some stories so that they're, feel like they're about a client, that's okay. It could work. But I would say that with enough experience and time, you will have some real stories.
Okay. Thank you.
How is what I shared going to help you with client creation, Christy?
For me, it makes me feel more confident, just more confident talking. And that's a tough one, I think, and I like the professional thing, like not being their friend. I think that's a big deal, but it makes me feel more confident in talking to someone like I have answers to the questions.
Good. Who else? How will you use this?
I just have a comment of a takeaway that came to me, and it's that why am I having so much trouble remembering these little success stories I can share with potential clients? And I was just all of a sudden saw myself creating my own testimonials. So it's like if I just sit down when I think of a client experience that was a shareable one, that I could just log it into a file so that I always have it. And that'll help log it into my memory, because I deal with lots of clients because of my work. So it'd be good to have those few success stories out there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just to remember too, it's always, by Andy, thank you, that it's always the beginning, middle, and end. They came to me like this with this problem. Here's the transition that happened, and here what it's like now.
Right.
And that's what people are looking for.
Yes, exactly. I can see myself. It's because that mathematical side of my brain, I just want to go look at a file and pick out what I want.
Good.
Right? Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alita. And Sandy, I saw your hand.
It's just a comment to say thank you, Gretchen, and that I know that this is, to be applied to the professional part of our lives, but it really carries over into the personal as well. Like there's a lot of stuff there that's just really good, and upholding yourself at that level. It's like somebody or a few people said, I never made this up, but you are the CEO of your life. You're the CEO of your health. How do you carry it? So it's really great professionally for wherever this is going to take me, but also on a personal level. So thank you. And a general thank you. I love seeing faces I know on here, by the way. And Juliet, you're amazing for coordinating this. So I don't know. I just sharing a lot of love here. So thank you. I just wanted to say it really carries over. I know there has to be a separation between professional and personal, but sometimes it's the positivity of the professional spilling into the personal that really helps you uphold your own values for yourself. Yeah. So thank you.
You got it. So I'm going to drop some links for you. The first one is a link to my connection call scripts. A lot of you probably wonder, like, what am I even supposed to say to potential clients? This is going to give you an outline. It's like one of the steps in my framework of what do you say? Where do you find them? They say this, you say that. Make it your own. There's some follow-ups in there too of things that you can do. The second one is I have a 3-hour workshop tomorrow. And it's going to take this, but do it on steroids. It's really going to help any coach who is trying to build their business, who's struggling with client creation, to have a kickstart for the year. So we're going to go over more of the art of storytelling, but more than that, we're going to go over the connection call. What do you say? How do you say it? We're going to go over how do you handle money objections and how do you handle your own feelings about money? I gave you a gift code for 50% off. Hope that you can come. It's also, this other one, it says number 1 again, but it should say number 3. It's a promo to my Stairway to Six program where this is only focused on business development. It is not focused on helping you to be a coach. It bridges the gap where coaching school stops. Coaching school teaches you how to be a great coach, but it doesn't teach you a lot about client creation. This is a high intensity experience. And it's to help you to get to your first $100,000. That's what it is, because so many coaches are broke. They don't know how to make any money. They struggle even to get 50 grand, even 25 grand, and they don't know what to charge, where to find clients, what to say to clients. So in this one, 5 days of me in an intensive, it's a great group of people who join, and you'll be glad that you did. The next one is just if you want to be a part of my community, I do a free teaching every month. That's the coaching for coaches. And then if you want to connect, you can email me. But I'm really glad that I got to be here with all of you today. So nice to see you. I hope some of you will come tomorrow. You know, it's would only cost you $49 and it's going to be a great event.
Gretchen, thank you. That was amazing. You guys grab those links. And then I want to mention next month is going to be Joey Garrity, and she's going to be on February 7th, Superstar Strategies to Transform Influence into Earnings. And you can register for that at bamagtraining.com. Of course, a lot of you are getting the links from my calendar. So if you don't want to register now, I'm going to hit you with the link about 3 or 4 days before, like I always do. And then next month, Rebecca Bertoldi, who is my agency directive from Go High Level, we're going to start doing monthly trainings. And there's the first one is on February 20th. You can go to ghlmonthly.com. If you guys aren't using Go High Level, you are missing out. I saved $400 getting on it, just consolidating my email, my social media. Now I've got websites over there and I'm no longer, paying for hosting fees at other places. So there's a lot. It's an all-in-one, and at least come and, find out about it. I know Dorothy uses it. I'm not sure if Carrie does, but I know a couple of you on here are using it, and it's pretty amazing stuff. So thank you, Gretchen. Thank you. If you can hold on while I quit the recording, I'll talk to you for a minute. And thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, grab those links, everybody, and have a great day.